So thank you everybody for coming along to this session. It's the last that I'm delivering as part of ICF Coaching Week, and it's a session called Coaching Without Words, which I'm sure a few of you have come along thinking, how is this even at all possible? So I will reveal all shortly. But for some of you I have met before, I've worked with before, I've coached before, I've had conversations with before, and there's a few people I haven't. So just to do a quick introduction. So my name's Kate Flory, and I am the founder of Kapow Coaching. And actually I'm a confidence and mental fitness coach. My coaching journey started back in 2002 when coaching was very much seen as either life coaching, and there were hints of sort of like leadership coaching, but it was mostly life coaching. That was very much the start of coaching. And as you can imagine, over the years, coaching has morphed, evolved, and my interest as a coach has evolved over the years. And I'm a bit of a magpie coach. There's probably a few people in the room who are the same, where you learn something new, you go, oh, I can't wait to use that. And so over the years, I've done various personal development, leadership programs, coaching development. And what I've done is over the years, I've gathered all these little different tools. And there's some that I use with coaching clients or in training sessions. And I'm going to introduce a couple of these today. So these are very, very simple tools that you can use. So let me introduce the whole concept of coaching without words. So as a coach or as a manager or as a trainer or as a parent, we can often get so caught up in what the right words are, asking the right questions, making sure that they're profound, that they're simple, that they get the person thinking. And so we can end up working very, very hard. So all of us have been in that situation where we've probably worked too hard as a coach or as a manager or as a parent. Whereas actually it's about being a bit more playful and using things that introduce conversation or open up people's thinking. So one of the things that I do is I have this little toolbox kit. So in here, I've got various items that I will, perhaps on a workshop, or if I was on a one-to-one session, just literally random items that you probably guess I've got children. So these are things that I've kind of taken over the years and put in my box. And I've got loads more of different things. And so what I'll often do is I'll sort of spread these items out. And literally they're just random items. And I will invite somebody to then say, pick an item, whatever that is. And what's the relevance for you? Or I'll pose a question. Tell me about that. What made you choose that? So some of them may be quite tactile. Some of them may be, this one's got a time, it's got an egg timer. So some of them people will use them quite literally. But it opens up a conversation, because rather than asking a question and somebody having to think, and it's not always easy for people to sort of express their feelings, but to take something and then just describe it, what they were drawn to, how relevant it was. So you can create any kind of box of tricks for yourself that you just randomly choose. Certainly in more of a training session, I have invited people to bring something, and actually even on a one-to-one coaching session where it's with people who I'm trying to sort of get to know them, I've asked them to bring something that tells a little bit about them. And it could be, just bring something from home, something from work that for you, that feels important, that feels relevant, that you're proud about. Years ago, I did some coaching with some young apprentices, and they brought their certificates, and they brought their football shirt. They brought things that had meaning to them. And because they were talking about things that were important to them, very quickly they felt comfortable because they were talking about things that were important to them. Is that kind of giving some sort of sense and some logic? Let me just open up. So happy for you to unmute yourselves and just to ask some questions or just put some thought in this first part.
Just to say, I think it's wonderful to hear about the use of objects, and I like the way that you talk about using that to build rapport and to kind of quickly get through that process of comfort.
Absolutely, and there's no right or wrong, which is great. Any other sort of reflections?
I think. Oh,
go for it, Moon.
Okay.
Okay. I have one client who reaches for their car key to their first car, and that's a structure that together we found helps them reconnect with an energy, with an inner state that they want to use. So I understand the power of a structure like a physical object to reconnect. I hadn't considered making that sort of standard and playful and just as part of an exploration. That makes good sense.
I was about to say it's about perspectives. So it's such a genius exercise, Kate, to help people to shift very much being fixating on the issues, the problems, so they can just look at objects and bring that creativity back, into their thinking process. So the egg timer things is very interesting. Because I haven't seen anything like that before, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Moon. And Mark, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, we do imbue objects with a lot of meaning. And what's interesting in, let's say, objects which don't belong to us, because I'm just looking around my room at the moment, it's full of objects which have great meaning. But actually a bit more objective objects, if you like, ones that don't belong to me, which require me to somehow bring the inside out. And yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I mean, I deal with words all the time. It's pretty fascinating, why people would choose particular, which of those objects you showed were we drawn to, and it feels like something that, yeah, it's definitely rapport building, as the other person said. Like it drops a level of defense, doesn't it, because it's playful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love the way you said it draws the inside out. Absolutely. Graham, what about you? What's that making you think? Because I know this is something that's probably not, in your normal world, so what's it making you think?
I think it's just the sort of icebreaker, Kate. It's getting the conversation started, getting the dialogue and the relationship or the rapport started, and like you say, trying to get people to relax a little bit so that they contribute more or they open up more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have also done it where, again, I'm looking at my kids are getting a bit older, but in their play up box, I've taken in different types of hats, from, Christmas hats to builders hats to crowns to, all different sort of like hats, because we all have to wear different hats. So again, using the metaphor, but not just the metaphor, but bringing a hat in for them to play with. And it's very interesting when I've done things like that people go, I do not want to go anywhere near that hat. And you get a real emotional response. You could do with anything. So it's about playing with it. So objects is one of the things I wanted to introduce you to, the whole concept of using objects. So again, let me just put it back to you, because I'm introducing this as a concept. How could you imagine using objects in your particular world of work? I'm loving the thinking going on here. Don't have to hear from everybody. If anyone's got something that springs to mind, happy to share, go for it. And if not, it's just something to mull over.
I've got it's fairly practical, but actually I hadn't thought of it like this. When my clients are trying to memorize sections of their speeches or presentations, actually they could structure using objects to make that a more visual. I mean, despite being a word person, I'm a super visual person, so it appeals to me instantly to sum up a whole section of a speech, for instance, in a mug.
Yes. Great. Thank you for that. Any other reflections?
What's come up for me, Kate, is you've invoked a memory for me of being at school, and I remember being in the classroom and the teacher played a piece of music and had us all sit there with our eyes closed and then describe what we were imagining. So rather than objects, you've actually taken me to music and playing with music.
Nice. Because it's not about a right or wrong. It's about just using different vehicles to get people to go inwards to be able to go then outwards. Lovely.